Welcome to the episode of the Toss of Pop podcast. I am one of your hosts, Walter, affectionately known as Pops.
And I am your other host, Wanye, also known as Son.
We're going to dive right into it. If people only knew what it takes for us to get on this podcast and actually get it going, right?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we were supposed to have started filming this thing an hour ago, and we just get it going. But you know what? We're eventually going to set up a camera, and once we get like exclusive subscribers, what we'll do is we'll record ourselves recording the podcast, and you guys are gonna die laughing when you see everything that goes on behind the scenes. You know, a small podcast like this trying to make it happen. It's super funny. Well, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I also want to encourage you guys to subscribe to our channel. Right on YouTube, it's Talks with Pops Reloaded. A bunch of episodes on there. Please go like, share, subscribe, comment, give us your comments, send us your questions at talkswithpops@gmail.com. We're on all your social media sites, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Talks with Pops Podcast. And yeah, hit us up. Definitely, we appreciate the share. Continue to support, man. We're trying to build something here.
Always.
And off we go with this episode. So, son, today's episode is we're talking about finances.
Yeah, that money, you know what I'm saying? That money, man. That money. The money make the world go round. So
I mean, I'm okay with money. I just kind of started getting my head around it. So it's kind of a difficult subject for me to talk about because I don't feel like I'm very well versed in it. Yes. But I think it's good to hear you and I talk about money and what we think money is and things like that. How do you feel about that, son?
I think finances is always going to be important in everyone's life because there's going to be a certain time where you want to be independent or you're going to see some nice things that you want that, you know, your people can't necessarily afford or they want you to get it yourself. So, you know, I feel like with that, it's definitely important that you learn how to at least save money or hold money early on, you know, or just understand the importance of money.
Nah, that's real. Yeah, I was probably older than you before I really figured out what money was and how to handle money and different things like that. Because, you know, I was never taught and most of us aren't. You know, I didn't teach you very much, actually, probably nothing at all, in my opinion, because I really didn't have the knowledge to give. So I think this is a good episode, and hopefully we'll have a future episode with somebody that actually knows about money and investing and things like that, right? And they give us their expertise. But for right now, me, you're just gonna chop it up, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. As always, as we always do. What was the first time you realized you had to get your own money when it was something that came to something that you wanted?
Between 7 and 8, where I kind of really realized, like, hey, it's things I want I can't get, and I ain't gonna get it unless I get it myself.
Right.
You know, so it was probably about around that age. Well, when do you remember like really understanding that? Hey, like I need some of this to get what I want.
I would say the earliest I really start realizing it was like really like high school when I would see everybody else walking around with nice things. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I didn't have nothing out the usual. You know what I'm saying? I had nice clothes. I had nice, but you know, when somebody fresh, you know the big difference between, you know,
yes,
you feel me? So yeah, I think it was then, and then I will actually say right after high school is when it hit me the most, because it was like, you know, your parents expect you to be grown, you know, don't do grown things, have grown responsibilities. So I definitely think early on, I would say if I put an age on it, I would say 15, 16. So it took me some while, but I didn't really start making money until I was about 21, 20. So it took me, I knew of money, I didn't know how to make it. That was my biggest problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my biggest problem.
Well, that leads right to my first question. So you teed it up perfect. So when do you think you learned financial responsibility or responsible when it came to finances? When did you figure it out?
Well, like I really start understanding like my bank account, put money in the savings. So it was really honestly when I first moved with you, because I really didn't have that independent mindset. You know what I'm saying? Right. I always, whatever I needed, I could just call my parents. You know what I'm saying? As long as I could think of, you know what I'm saying? So I would say that was my biggest thing. I would say right when I moved with you and I first got my bank account, and I like to see the money come more than it went. You know, so right. I was like, okay.
Right.
I was like, okay, yeah, I could get used to this. You know what I'm saying? But then bills came, you know what I'm saying? Responsibilities came, you know what I'm saying? Start seeing the subtracting. So it was like, that's when I really started learning how to balance and move around. So I would say that was my biggest one, probably my first job. And then again, as soon as I had got my own bank account, which probably like, again, like around there, 2021.
So I know like me, I had a job for a little while. And I remember, like you, I remember my first check, and I got it, and I went out and got all this stuff, man. Up to my head, just got paid.
Yeah.
Went out, got all this stuff, and had like $10 left.
Yeah.
You know, got home. My mom was like, "I need some money." I said, "Well, all I got is $10 left." She was like, "Thank you," and she just grabbed it and walked away. You know, and that was a valuable lesson. Hey, boy, you might want to make this thing last. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's crazy because I go right into my next question, though. I was going to ask you, what was your first real job to where, like, again, you got it because you wanted something, and how long did that last?
I think I was 17 when I first got my first job. It was bagging groceries at Publix, a supermarket.
Crazy. Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy, you know. And then like you got paid, but then you know you could also get tips taking, you know, people's groceries to their car and all that. Man, they give you a couple tips, and then you know, Miami full of old folks, man. Yeah, and man, I remember this lady gave me like 10 cents. Boy, I threw that thing in her trunk with her groceries, man.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So how long did you last though?
Man, I worked there maybe, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months, maybe. I didn't last that very long. Yeah. You know? I didn't last very long. I didn't last very long at all.
And got up out of there.
Yeah. Exactly. Sure. Exactly what I did.
Yeah. Yep. It makes sense. It makes sense though.
All right, so let me ask you this. So at what age, right? At what age do you think parents should talk to their kids about finance responsibility or about even what money is?
I would say like 15, 16-ish is when I probably start teaching my son or my daughter when to start saving coins.
You know, if I had to do all over again, I just like, and just like you said, like going to McDonald's money. So I would start very early with you and your sisters, and I'd be like, okay, what do you guys want? You know, and then you tell me what you want. I'd be like, okay, well, that costs so much money, you know, you know, take it out of my hand, you know, and then I have just enough. And then when it's gone, I'd be like, you see, now I have nothing. Now we can't get nothing. You know, just little lessons like that, you know, encourage them to save and you know, like in their own way, invest. Like, okay, hey, if you put this over here, every week I'll add one to it.
Right.
You know, just kind of getting the concept of, hey, if I put some away, it can earn. You know, but like I said, that hindsight is 20/20, right? You could always see what you could have done better when you was raising kids. But for people that's listening right now, I think it's very important just to start early, at least explaining to your kids what money is, and you know, but first of all, you get informed, because that was my problem. I wasn't informed. I didn't know anything. So get informed on what money is, how it works. And then slowly introduce it to your kids, like in a way that in little chunks where they could understand it, you know? So if I had to do it over again, that's what I would have done. Well, how would you, not knowing, you know, being at this age now, you know, knowing what you know about money now and about saving and stuff, like what would you have liked for me or your mom or somebody to do?
Maybe chores. Like, you know what I'm saying? Every time, you know, we do good with chores or something, you know, give us money, not big money, maybe a couple $2, you know what I'm saying? Every week or every week, you know what I'm saying? Every week on a certain day. You know, that's cleanup day. Every time you do that, you know, I'll throw you some money every week. You know what I'm saying? Or every other day, whatever day you decide to clean. You know what I'm saying? So that way, you know, they save up for what they want. That'll teach them to save up for what they want. And you know what I'm saying? When we go to McDonald's or something, I'll let them pay. You know what I'm saying? I'll let them pay. You know, that's y'all money. You know what I'm saying? Y'all go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? So when it's gone, like you said, when it's gone, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to get back on your cleaning up. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do back around the house. So I'll be like, that probably wasn't one good way to for real get me. That would have got me. That would have moved me to go do something for sure. Like, for sure.
No, that make a lot of sense. You know, like I said, whatever you can do, even if you know very little about money, at least teach them what money is. To let them know that, you know, you need money in order to do things, right? But I like what you said when you was like chores and then paying for the chores. That way they know they have to, you know, work to earn the money. And then they can spend it, you know?
And then when it's gone, like I said, when it's gone.
Exactly.
It's gone. Yeah.
And I mean, and once, you know, for you people out there is probably listening and being like, hey, well, you know, you're teaching them how to be a worker bee. Yeah, I mean, initially, yes, teach them how to earn the money, how to spend the money. But then as they progress, teach them how to invest that money and teach them to where they don't have to trade their money for time. They can, they can make their money work for them, right? So you're, like I said, just start them slow. And that's what I wish I would do for you guys. I start you slow and then start kind of teaching you these things. You know, hey, this is where you put money, you know. If you put it here for a little bit of time, it'll earn some, earn. But like I said, that's hindsight, right? So of course you could always do better.
Okay, so my next question for you, Pops, would be, this kind of leads on to what we had. What is some advice you would pass on to the youth as far as financial stability, how important that is?
That's a great question. And like you said, it kind of leans into what we're talking about. I think we need to take lessons from other races, right? Mm-hmm. Other races, other social classes, and listen, a lot of us are struggling. We're just trying to make it, right? So the last thing we have is money to put over here to invest. At least that's what we think, right? Mm-hmm. But just kind of educate yourself, educate yourself about how money works. You as a parent, tune into people that know money, like YouTube, whatever, read a book, whatever, right? Yeah. And start gaining that knowledge, man, so you can slowly pass that on to your kid. And maybe you could both learn at the same time, right? Maybe, like say me, if I started right now, if I started today, 56 years old, right? I probably wouldn't make a whole lot of money, because I don't have a lot of time, right? But if I say, hey, Wanya, come on, let's you do this, and we start getting in stocks and bonds and all these different things, it may not benefit me as much, but it'll definitely benefit you. When you get my age, you'll be 10 times ahead, 100%. Yeah. So like I said, if you're out there and you're in that situation, teach that, y'all can learn together. And I'm gonna tell you, 9 times out of 10, these young guys got it figured out, or these young girls got it figured out. They're way smarter, man. They know way more about money than we would ever hope to know. Mm-hmm. And that's great. But if they don't, pull them in, have a conversation, be like, hey, let's learn how to do this together. It'll benefit you for a little while, or me in my case for a little while, but it'll definitely benefit you for a very, very long time.
100%. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Because like you said, you may not know the skill or know exactly what you want to do, but once you find that, and that's what's making the money, that's the perfect thing you can do, is pass that on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And again, you never know what they're going to do once you pass it to them. They could make it go 10 times harder than what you had, so it's definitely always great to especially get back. Man, like you said, that financial stability that's like top key. Like it's good to have that as young as possible.
Right.
Because that goes a long way. That goes a long way.
So we don't want to say like making money is the ultimate goal, right? But let's be honest, without money, there's very little that you can do, right?
Yeah.
And money isn't everything, but it makes life just a little easier. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't live your life for money, but understand you need money and know how to manage your finances in order to get in order to live a comfortable life. You know what I'm saying?
100%. I agree.
So yeah, we're not training people to be worker bees.
No. But at the end of the day, if that's what you need to make your money or pay your bills, I mean, that's just what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, for sure.
Other ways. It's always other ways, rather it's right or wrong, but it's always other ways to make money, but it's best to 9 to 5 is always great with me. I ain't got
at least as a starting point, right? As a starting point.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you feel like I taught you about financial literacy?
I would say just from the point of first moving with you to now, I would say, man, you've done a lot. I mean, I don't know if you realize, but you've done a lot as far as when we move, you know what I'm saying, how fast we could pick up and move. So I didn't know, being from California, I never left California. When we moved, it was always, it was just up the street, you know what I'm saying? It was never too far, you know what I'm saying? So when I first moved with you and seeing how fast, like, you could really pick up and just move, you know what I'm saying? If you got it like that, you can move like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, like, when we did like the first 2-3 times, I'm like, man, we just be picking up and we just be moving. Like, for real, because it was like, and then again, we never stayed nowhere longer than like a year and some change.
A year, yeah.
Every year and some change, we like, all right, we got to go here. Or we got to pick up and go here. I'm like, man, like, and it's like every time we go somewhere, I always felt like, yeah, this ain't it. We gonna move again. Like we gonna move again. And that's why I really didn't like getting too close to people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's another story. But I would say for sure, just seeing that process a lot of times, just seeing like the pick up and restart. Like there's no excuse. You know what I'm saying? You always pick up and restart and start somewhere fresh. You know what I'm saying? So I always kept that in the back of my mind, always, because it was like, again, if you have the money to move like that, and again, you've invested the correct way, you can move like that. And that's great independence you can have, you know what I'm saying? And then that's ownership, you know what I'm saying? You own things. So it's like, I ain't never thought in a million years about owning nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was like, once I moved with you, it's like, man, that don't sound too bad, you know? So it was like, and then again, seeing the houses, man, all that motivated me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All the different houses, whether we owned it or we rented it, just seeing them and being able to move in those was like, man, you know, that's a blessing in itself. So I would say just all the moving experiences, honestly, taught me.
And I don't think we had a lot of conversations about money. Like, hey, one year, if you take this money and put it in the bank for this long. I don't think we had a lot of conversations like that. I think I tried, because honestly, I felt uncomfortable having the conversation because I wasn't very versed, like I said before. So to me, what I would try to do is try to show you, like, through my actions, like, this is how you should handle money. Like, you should always have some money, you know, here to do this, and be like, hey, you know, I'm paying out this much, but I'm keeping this. But like, I try to have those conversations out loud in front of you, so that maybe you could pick that up, right? But
yeah, for sure,
you know, all I had to do was sit down and be like, hey, break it down. But once again, like I said, my communication wasn't great. I was very intimidated by the subject in the first place to even have the conversation. But that's how I tried to do it, and I'm glad in some small ways you kind of picked up on that, you know.
For sure. Oh, positive always, like they say, it's the little things. You know what I'm saying? You, again, like they say, you never know when you're being watched. So of course, the provider, like, you always the provider. Like, anything anybody needed, having a financial stability to be able to support whatever was going on. So again, I always watched. You know what I'm saying? So if it was anything like you blatantly probably wanted to show me, I probably picked up what you put down. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, and I am. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate that. As parents, and I'm sure you parents out there that are listening can relate, right? Like, that's a aha moment for me, or like a moment of pride, like when you know, you have your kid say to you, hey, I saw you do this, and that, you know, I learned this from you because of this or that. And that's all we want. I'm sure all of you out there could agree. That's all we want as parents to our kids. You know, we want them to be proud of us. We want them to let us know that we taught them something. You know, like, hey, I got this from you. Like, you set that example. Yes.
I understood, and I got that from you. Like, for sure, 100%.
Right.
Again, I feel like as a kid, or not even as a kid, as an adult, there's nothing wrong with letting your parents know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got that from you, or, you know what I'm saying, I learned this from you. You know what I'm saying? Because bad or good, you know what I'm saying, they're going to understand, like, okay, I got to watch. You're going to teach them a lesson. Like, oh, I got to watch how I say this, or I got to watch how, even as kids, you know, when you got a kid around, like, okay, you got to watch what you say. You know what I'm saying? It's just little stuff like that. So,
But okay, back on financial responsibility. I think I'm glad. Like, it was very hard for me. I struggled with managing money early on. You know, so a lot of these, I'm glad we're talking about this, you know, because I'm sure a lot of people, I'm not the only one that felt like that. And, you know, and believe it or not, as parents, like you said, our kids see everything.
So before joining the military, do you feel like you were somewhat financially stable?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And listen, for a couple of years while I was in the Marine Corps, like, early on, I was struggling. But okay, to answer your question, no, I wasn't financially stable at all. I didn't understand anything about money or credit. And we haven't talked about that, but money or credit, or I didn't understand nothing, right? So I was scrambling, man. You know, and I had to move back in with my grandparents, you know, just for a little while till I left, man. So it was. No, I had zero financial stability, man. Like, I didn't know. All I knew is if I didn't have $150 in my pocket, I couldn't get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just I needed to have this much for this much for that, this, you know. But I didn't understand how to save, and okay, hey, you can't spend all of your money right now because you might have something to do later, or emergency money. Yeah, I didn't understand any of that. Knowing what you know now, what do you wish you would have done to be in a better financial situation as you sit right now?
One, I would say school. I probably would have took school a lot more serious. Rather it was trade school, whatever school anybody to choose to go through, I would say most definitely take that a lot more serious, for sure. If that's along your path that you feel like you want to do. Right. But if not that, I would say saving early on. You know what I'm saying? Not spending money on as much unnecessary things, for sure. But other than that would be my two biggest things, but mainly probably school. I probably wish I would have took that a lot more serious, because you really don't know the outcome financially of school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
no, I got
I'll
that.
probably say that.
I think if I had to answer that same question, what would I do differently? I would have learned about money earlier. Like I said, I would have learned about credit, and I would have asked more questions. Because my grandfather, I'm gonna tell you, my grandfather didn't even finish elementary school. So he was self-taught. Like he taught himself math and how to read. But let me tell you something. That man knew how to manage money. Listen, that guy was a wizard. With money and saving it and all that. I wish I would pay more attention to him and asked him more questions.
I always seen what not having money looked like.
Right, felt like yes,
and what it felt like. So yeah, just like I said, my first job, man, having that independence, and it wasn't even the best job in the world, but it was a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I had my own money, so I would just definitely say to anybody, I mean, hey, make your money. You know what I'm saying? However it goes, make your money, but always be safe with it, man, because life be life. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Life be
it does.
To say the least. Story time.
Okay. So, yeah. Our new one of our new segments, right? One of them is story time.
So
all right, I definitely got to hit it. I definitely got.
I had to pick up fast on a situation where, again, me and my pops got into a little dispute or whatever. So in a week's time, I had to pick up quick and just learn like what money was about. Because at the time, again, I knew I was sitting good on enough money. I just didn't know the value, the value that I had, that I was sitting on. So in that week's time, I had to figure out a lot of things, like getting an apartment, getting a car, and figuring out how much that was, and just taking risk and understanding what I had at the same time. So I would just say overall, in a week's time, I was thankful to get my car. I was able to get my apartment all in a week's time of just figuring out life when life came at me pretty fast. So
right,
I would just say, yeah, that was where I officially learned value of money and financial stability. Because after that, I was able to uphold an apartment for almost 2 going on 3 years. So
yeah. And your mom played a very big role in helping you kind of figure it out. Because like I said, me and you were definitely not speaking.
Yeah.
So your mom was definitely a huge influence in helping you, guide you through those steps while you figured it out, right?
Oh yeah. Because she was way in California, you know what I'm saying? Getting me to walk down on how she think I should do it, what's the good places to look, so she helped me write it out for sure. Because it was many times I was like, man, I could just go home, figure it out and go home. But I was like, man, same time, it's like, either way I go, I'm starting over in my head,
right.
So I'm like, I might as well start over while I'm here. And like I said, it turned out for the better because, again, it taught me a lot, man. It taught me a lot of, again, saving, spending, bills, just balancing your everyday life. You know what I'm saying? What you want to do, man, it's a lot that goes into it. But I believe anybody out here, if they really put their mind to it and discipline, like they could do it. They go out there and get their own anything. You know what I'm saying? Just take the effort and applying yourself, So that's all it was for me, just really applying myself. Because I ain't know I could do it in a week's time. You know what I'm saying? Just lessons, and again, thankful for my mom, honestly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that ties right into it. Just sometimes you got to figure it out, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you start getting into it. In a situation like my son's, like, yeah, he definitely had to figure that one out. But at least he had at least he had somebody to kind of walk him through the steps. But he still had to kind of figure it out on his own. All right, so here we go. So the next segment of our show is where we kind of read comments from either somebody posted on, somebody sent us an email, somebody, whatever, right? Just questions and comments from you guys.
Yeah, I got a fan question. So It says, what advice do you give me on social media? It is one thing you have to learn about yourself. Oh, what is one thing you have to learn about yourself since starting a podcast with your dad? I would say I'm not very expressive. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk about a lot of things, and I keep a lot of things private, but I think this podcast definitely helped me expand that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm actually able to talk to my pops a lot better, even off podcasts. You know what I'm saying? We have great conversations, even off podcasts that, again, I didn't feel like necessarily was comfortable, or maybe he just didn't want to talk about, So I feel a lot more comfortable approaching my dad about, a conversation I want to talk about, or, just want to sit back and kick it. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely say this podcast helped me a lot when it came to that, for sure.
Right. I actually have 2.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do 1 because 1 is a question that I'm going to answer.
Okay.
And the second one is the actual question. Right here, right, there used to be like a plaque, right? And they want to know what happened to it. All right. Hey, what else is nothing, boy? So yeah. The plaque used to be right here. I had to get it. It actually fell off the wall. Glass broke, and I'm getting it replaced. But I promise, the next episode it'll be back. Okay.
Okay.
And the actual question was this: what is the purpose of you starting this podcast? Right. That was the question. What basically what am I trying to do with this podcast?
Okay.
And that's a great question. All I want to get out of this podcast is this. I'm not in this podcasting thing for make a lot of money. That's not what I'm here for. I just enjoy having conversations with my son that I feel that other people could benefit from, right? But the only thing I want to accomplish with this podcast is this. If I can inspire one dad to want to have a conversation with his son, or one, mom with her daughter, or anything like that, or one kid want to reach out to their parent, either in the home or not in the home, because you could be in the home and still,
for sure,
not be in the same place. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as like relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, if I could inspire one man to reach out to his kid, or woman to reach out to, whatever, or the other way around, a kid to reach out to the dad, or just through listening to us talk, want to sit down, even if they sit down and be like, my podcast is some BS. Like, it ain't like that. Well, that's what I want to be able to happen in this podcast. That's what I'm trying to get out of it.
Me too.
What about you, son? What are you trying to get out of it?
Like, I just want anybody who either don't have their parents, you know what I'm saying, or again, they're not on the best relationship with their parents, or even if they only have their grandparents, you know what I'm saying? Just want to be able to, like you said, pick up the phone if they're not in the same room, or even if you're more comfortable, just texting about, you know what I'm saying, how you feel to someone in the same house, you know what I'm saying? Either, no matter how it goes, just wanting to have that relationship or build that bridge with somebody, you know what I'm saying, if it wasn't ever there, you know what I'm saying? So it whether it takes forgiveness, whether it takes, you know what I'm saying, learning respect or giving respect, however it may go, I would just say that's what I want everyone to get out of it, or whoever listens that may need it, to go ahead and get out this podcast, just being able to listen to it and wanting to go back and express themselves more to their family, to say the least, you know what I'm saying? Because I know everyone can be very private with their lifestyle nowadays.
I 100% agree with that. Like I said, that's all I'm trying to get out of this. And I'm gonna tell you, a lot of times, even after we get off the broadcast, what we talk about actually spark other conversations, and
for sure.
And we get into like the, like, oh, back and forth, like, wow, like we continue the conversation, it'll go somewhere else. So
yeah,
it's good for us too. It helps us talk about things sometimes. Even through these conversations, we'll address some of our own issues in these episodes. So yeah, it's great, man. I love it. I would rather be doing nothing else.
Yeah, especially on the free time, nothing else to do. Why not have a great conversation with your parents?
Exactly.
They're very much needed anytime during the day or at night. Yeah. You never could go wrong talking to your people. That's all I can say.
Never.
Yeah.
But yeah, we at the end of another episode, son. Man, I love you. You're my dog, and I'm rolling with you. From here, to the car fall apart. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, Pops, I love you, man. Again, thank you everybody for tuning into the podcast. Another great one. Down in the books. And again, we on all social medias. Make sure y'all stop by. Let us know what you think about everything. This is a great conversation to touch on. Money is very important. I mean, it don't rule the world, but it make the world spin for sure.
Exactly. But I love you, man. You guys, like you said, YouTube channel, Talks with Pops Reloaded, and Talks with Pop podcast on everything else, all your other social media platforms. You could also download us digitally. And also, you could get the audio anywhere you get your audio podcast from. So we're everywhere. Talks with Pop podcast. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Hey, and continue to support us. We're out of here.
Alrighty, love y'all, man. Y'all be easy.